I wonder what will happen if I stopped going to the dentist, stopped getting my cavities filled, and I just kept on drinking this tea. And so I went in and they said, you have no cavities. And then I told them about the herbal calcium tea formula. They're like, yeah, I can see where your teeth are remineralized.
From NASA to healer? How does that work? Who works at NASA and then becomes a healer? That's where you get to learn with Mayim Vega. So she is amazing, and had a great conversation with her. You're going to learn about her background and how she became doing what she is doing. And it's really fascinating with the things that she's doing, the whole mind, body, spirit connection, things that she talks about, as well as using nutrition and some interesting conversations about the big C word. So if you have friends and family who have cancer, I think you'll be interested to have in the end of this conversation. So here we go. Let's talk to Hey, this is Rob Renee. Welcome back to the I Am Pain-Free podcast. We've got an amazing guest today. I'm super excited to have Mayim Vega here with me today. How are you?
Good, great, Rob. Thank you for having me. My fellow Dallasite.
So much fun. Just reading your background and what you do and what you've done is exciting. And I think that my audience is going to love your stories. Why don't you give everybody a quick background of your story and how you got to what you're doing today?
Yes, absolutely. I'm a holistic healer, and I like to use that title because the way that I help people heal is multifaceted. And if I use other terms, they might not understand it. Maybe a more descriptive title would be naturopathic herbalist and holistic life coach. And naturopathic herbalism has to do with herbalists. Basically, they were the healers for thousands of years. We know them as herbalists. And that's because that was the original medicine, is through herbs, through plants.
Awesome. Love it.
But herbalists were always naturopathic, even though naturopathy is a very modern term. And naturopathy basically incorporates not just herbs, but supplements, diet and nutrition, lifestyle and mindset. A good naturopath, anyways, will incorporate all these things in order to help someone achieve holistic health and healing. And the holistic life coaching aspect of it, I added that later on because that's when I really felt the impact of mindset when it comes to healing. And faith was always part of my personal healing journey. But I just believe that more so as I age, how much the faith and the mindset is really key. It's an important key. It's more important than diet and herbs. It's very foundational. And so life coaching, I think, is a really good way to bring out that spiritual aspect of healing, because if you talk about holistic healing, it's got to be body, mind, and spirit, right?
Yeah, the whole thing. Yeah, that's what's so amazing about you is you think about all three of those, whereas a lot of people I work with and I interview, they're mainly focused on the body, right? And what is the body doing and how can we help the body? So this is fascinating that you help with the whole body, mind, and spirit, because I am in agreement with you. I think that's the most important thing to do is look at the body from a holistic perspective. And those other two areas are often overlooked. So I'm excited. So dig in. Tell me more about why did you get interested in doing this in the first place?
I was formerly a computer scientist at the NASA Ames Research Center.
Wow.
And then I quit that career to be a stay-at-home, work-from-home mom after I got married and had my first baby 9 months later. I did go back to NASA for a while, and they had a great daycare program, but I just didn't feel right. I didn't feel natural being away from my baby most of the day and then just coming home at night to care for him. So I decided to be a work-from-home mom. I wanted to homeschool, etc. And I have 7 children of my own now. But when I first quit my career, I started an entrepreneurial venture doing app development and digital marketing for mostly high-tech companies in the Silicon Valley, where we live there in the Bay Area, Silicon Valley. So it's mostly high-tech companies, startups, cybersecurity, big data storage, networking, things like that. And then I got really sick because of several reasons. which I later found out through my studies. But when I first became sick, I took the standard over-the-counter medicines like Tylenol and ibuprofen and whatnot. But these no pharmaceutical drug never addressed the root cause. So they were not long lasting, and they eventually stopped working. And that is the story for most medications, which is why medications their dosages have to increase. And doctors frequently have to change the medication to deal with the failing first medication and the side effects of it, because they never deal with the root cause. And so and I didn't know all these things before though. So it got to a point where I had to rush to the emergency room because I couldn't work anymore. I couldn't take care of my children. And then the pain got so bad that I couldn't even sleep anymore. So I rushed to the emergency room.
Sleep is where your body heals too, right? So that, if you can't sleep, then you're in big trouble. So what type of pain was it? Was it a specific type of pain, or was it, explain that a little bit?
So when I got to the emergency room, the doctor initially thought that I had a brain tumor, but after a series of questions and testing, including a CT scan, she ruled that out. But then she said, I don't know what to do with you though. I can't have no answers for you. You just have a bad headache. Here's some strong painkillers, which I took, but it was the same story, that the painkillers, they didn't address the root cause. So it was still there. It might have numbed the pain, but it was still there. And because I have faith, I thought, God doesn't want me to live like this. This is ridiculous. There has to be an answer. My God is a God of healing. And I set out on a venture to just basically find my own cure. And I eventually did.
Awesome.
And
awesome. Yeah. How long did that take?
I found an initial kind of Band-Aid cure right away.
Okay.
Which was vitamin B12. And I found that vitamin B12 instantly got rid of the headache, but not always, but it worked better than anything else. It worked better than any medication, even what the doctors prescribed me, just vitamin B12. But they still came. And so I had to figure out, why was it that vitamin B12 was able to help me? And I started studying nutrition. I enrolled in certification programs for nutrition and herbalism and holistic health. And my first, it did explain that I was vitamin B12 deficient because I was at that time vegetarian, aspiring to be vegan. And so it said that people who do that, they have to supplement with B12, but it still advocated for a primarily vegetarian diet. So that was really no good. And so it wasn't until later when I went into my own studies of what is the ideal diet, I came across the works of Jordan Rubin, who is the author of The Maker's Diet.
Yes.
And he advocated not for vegetarian or veganism, but for eating clean meats and fermented vegetables and grains and things like that, instead of conventional grains and conventional non-organic, non-grass-fed beef and vegetables. And so that was really what started me on my healing path. And I realized that my B12 deficiency was due to my vegetarian vegan diet. And so therefore I wasn't supposed to just supplement with B12, but I was supposed to get it from the natural source, which is animal products. And I think people who follow the Bible, both Jews and Christians, I'm Jewish, a lot of times they have this idea that, because in the Garden of Eden, they're a vegetarian, therefore that's the ideal diet and we should all be vegetarian. And to that I say, yes, that was the ideal diet in the Garden of Eden, but so was
in a perfect environment. I don't think our environment's quite like the Garden of Eden, do you?
Exactly. And going without clothes was also the perfect way to live as well. We are not supposed to do that right now. So the Garden of Eden,
you get in big trouble if you try to do that in some places.
Immodest. It's actually ungodly to do that today.
That's right.
So what is in the Bible is not necessarily good for all times in all places. There are principles in the Bible that are eternal, but certain applications could be limited to a specific time. And that's the truth. That's true with veganism. And I believe in the world to come, and possibly there will be a time when we will all safely be vegan again, or vegetarian at least, including the animals.
Right.
But as for now, God gave Noah, he said, just as I've given you all the plants and the vegetation to eat, I now give you the animals to eat. And he didn't do that to curse us. He doesn't do things to curse us. He only does things to help us and bless us. That was an important part of my healing, because I was in a religion at that time that it was a Christian religion, but it advocated for vegetarianism and veganism. And I'm a very religious person. I take my faith very seriously.
Awesome.
And so it's awesome. But then sometimes if you don't have broader knowledge, especially when it comes to health, you could be led into things that are unhealthy and dangerous. So I'm actually I'm pretty upset. I'm pretty upset with my old church that advocated for vegetarian veganism and that was their basis. Garden of Eden.
Yeah.
Garden
of Eden. That's too bad.
Yeah.
And I like to advocate for people to have a relationship, not a religion. I think in my humble belief that it's more important to have a direct relationship with your creator and God than it is to be in a whatever affiliation of a religion that you want to be. That, to me, it's more important that you have that connection. And then when you have that connection, yes, you can be a part of aka a church, but that doesn't necessarily need to be the most important thing, right? And the things that they do are not the most important thing. The most important thing is the Word of God and your relationship with Him. And I advocate for similar things, right? It's okay if I go to aka a religion and or a church and they're advocating certain things, but it's not necessarily, like you literally mentioned, right? Biblically specific. It might be an issue with what they're teaching. So I caution people like that, because it sounds like you were very led down a path that wasn't great for your body because of the way that they were advocating for that. But I'm so glad that you realized that and you learned from that. And then it sounds like you were able to heal your body by giving it the right nutrients that it needs in the right way. That's pretty cool that you were able to get the vitamin B12 from the natural source of how God intended to give it to you, which is pretty cool. So that's exciting. So how long did it take for you to get rid of to where you didn't have the migraines and you're able to eat a more balanced, healthy diet that gave you the nutrients your body needs to stop the migraines?
I found B12 very quickly with research back when Google was reliable. Google's no longer, I don't believe, reliable for holistic health information. They are actually
definitely not, isn't it?
What
do you? If you don't mind, me segue to that for a second, because that I think is really important discussion. Is where do you find good health information that's not faulty or hidden? There's a lot of censorship in our health information today in both social media as well as even search engines like Google. I'll give my recommendations of what I'm learning, but I would love to hear from you. What do you do?
Yes, absolutely. So my main business is a holistic healer certification program. And in this program, I basically present my students with all of what I believe are the top healers in the field of nutrition and herbalism and holistic health. And I think knowing who to trust is really important. So we actually built a search engine at search.aruka.com. So search.aruka.com. And in that engine, it only searches sources that I trust. And we add to the database from time to time. But what's really interesting is that at a certain point in time, these sources used to be shown as the top results in Google. But because of the influence of big pharma, they no longer are. But they still are in my search engine. So it's search.aruka.com. And
Aruka it's Arukah, right?
Yeah,
Gotcha.
it's a transliteration of a Hebrew word, which is often translated as health or healing. And so this database searches websites such as Dr. Mercola's website, Dr. Josh Axe's website, Green Med Info, which is, gosh, I forgot his name now, but he's also a popular holistic healer him and Mercola were one of the ones that were banned by the presidential administration as of 2024 and prior, because they said that they were spreading false information about COVID, but actually they were sharing the truth about COVID, and what was on the top search results was sharing the false information.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing how, so it's taken a lot of people a long time to figure that out. But yeah, a lot of us were aware of that real early on. But I like that. That's good. How about, do you have any of the all natural health, like Mike, the Health Rangers information in your search?
Yes, he's in there. He's in there also, and others, probably less known sources. Right. Dr. Andrew Saul is my personal teacher in orthomolecular nutrition, and his website, he's passed away recently, but his website's dryourself.com, and he also runs the orthomolecular news service, and they are probably, I would say, the leading experts in orthomolecular medicine, which is also another fancy term for megadose vitamin therapy, which is pioneered by Dr. Linus Pauling, which was a 2-time Nobel Prize winner and doctor, and who pioneered that field. And yeah, there's others. So
this is awesome.
I can't recommend.
That's great. I'm so glad that you even have that service. That's really neat, because I typically go to those sources when I'm looking for information, because I know it's relatively, well, it's not relatively, it's centered in a dramatic way. That's great that you've got that search engine. AI is really a very similar problem, right? You try to use some of the large language models with ChatGPT and others, and it's very censored. And I was recently looking for specific health recommendations, and Grok was by far the most uncensored one that I had worked with. I went and tried to do the same search across a whole bunch of the large language models, and I was pleasantly surprised that the X, or the old Twitter version of AI, seemed to be much less censored from a natural health perspective than others. Have you tried that at all?
Absolutely. Yeah, I totally see the difference.
Gotcha. Good.
Yeah.
Good.
So there's certain applications that ChatGPT is okay for, but
it's great for digital marketing and those types of things, but it's not great for all natural health, is it?
No, it has its biases. There still is a way to use it. For example, it will tell you what the side effects are of various medications. And you got to press it, though. You have to say, tell me the common side effects and the not common side effects, or the more rare side effects. Because oftentimes it'll just list the common side effects, and it's not that bad. It'll tell me the less common side effects, and it's like death. That's what I want to know. I want to know the whole picture. Don't just give me the nice frilly information. Oh, it just may cause a little pain here and a little thing there. Give me the full information. Let me decide for myself what is an acceptable risk. Don't try to sugarcoat this poison for me. Let me fully understand what it is, fully informed.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I love that you say that too, because I think it's really important for people to understand that for all medication that's given to you has a side effect, no matter what that medication is. Not necessarily supplementation or supplements, but all big pharma medication has a side effect, and you need to understand those side effects because it's very important. So you need to be really cautious and do your own homework on what you're taking, because it's always going to have a side effect. And the pill for an ill society that we're in, we need to get out of that. So I love listening to you and what you're doing and helping people with. So I think it's magical. So you helped yourself, you get rid of your headaches. So then what else is part of your journey that's super important?
Yes, let's talk about side effects, because
sounds good.
Side effects, what's interesting is when you take a pharmaceutical drug, the side effects can be deadly. If someone were to drop one of their prescription pills in my house and one of my babies would pick it up, I would be afraid, deathly afraid of what the side effect is of my baby consuming. My baby is 5 years old. So I just call my baby stuff. Of my baby picking it up and swallowing it, right?
Yeah. Especially they shouldn't be taking those things. Yeah.
No, and they make them so colorful, they look like candy. I would be afraid with the side effects. I'd have to probably call Poison Control Center. But if like my children, sometimes they'll drop a vitamin C pill or some kind of other supplement that we have, I'm not worried at all. The worst that might happen with any of the remedies, supplements that we have is maybe they'll have diarrhea. That's okay. Maybe it'll be really spicy on their tongue. Again, that's okay. Like, not a big deal. I'm not going to call anyone because of that. But with the pharmaceuticals, it's just terrible. But with natural remedies, sometimes the side effect is like a wonderful side effect. It's like a good positive side effect. And I think the reason for that is because with pharmaceutical drugs, they're just basically trying to mask symptoms, and they do it very poorly. Even though they can be very effective short term, they cause damage. But when it comes to herbs and supplements, the way that they work is they're actually, for a lot of supplements, they're actually correcting a deficiency in your body. Or when you do diet, you're correcting a deficiency, a nutrient deficiency in your body. And then when it comes to herbs, maybe you're not deficient in herbs, but the herbs strengthen your body. They stimulate your immune system to work more efficiently, perhaps in certain areas or in certain ways that it wouldn't normally without that herb, but in a very safe way. And this was a story with an herbal calcium formula that I started taking. I started taking it. First, I started taking just calcium pills to help with I would get Charlie horses in my legs, and they would cramp up in the middle of the night. It was very painful. So I started taking.
Hurt.
Yeah. And then also while I was pregnant, I would get my knee joints would get out of place and it'd be very painful. And I'd have to like kick my leg out quickly to get it back in place. And then the pain it would subside like slowly and eventually. But it would eventually go away. I'm sorry, my internet connection isn't that great right now, but I know the recording it'll keep going. So I started taking calcium pills, which was great. It helped me with those two things. And then as I was studying herbalism, I came across this herbal calcium formula, and I said, I'd rather do an herbal formula to improve my calcium absorption instead of a calcium pill. Not that I'm opposed to calcium pills. One is more natural, and it works with your calcium intake that you're already taking, maybe from milk or dairy or plant calcium. And so I took this herbal calcium formula daily, and I stopped taking the calcium supplements, and it was great. So not only did it help me with those two issues that I said, but it healed me of my back pain and sciatica, which I wasn't trying to heal. I thought that was just something that I had to live with. It was just something I had to deal with my whole entire life, because I had diastasis recti from pregnancy. The front muscles of my abdominal section, they split. They split a lot, so much so that the surgeon said, unless you have surgery, you're going to have chronic constipation and chronic back pain, sciatica. But then he said, you can get surgery for it, but surgery is never without side effects. But he also said, you have to make sure that you don't want any children anymore, because having children with this operation will mess it up, and it won't be pretty. It'll be very difficult to patch it back up again afterwards. One and done, and let's try not to do this again. And so I was like, I only had 2 children at the time. I'm like, I was very young.
Yeah.
I wasn't ready to stop having children. I ended up having 7.
Yeah, I was going to say, you didn't listen to him.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to have all the children I want first, just deal with the back pain, and then maybe have the surgery. And so what happened was I started taking this herbal calcium formula, and I was healed of the back pain and sciatica. And it was so bad before, my back pain was so bad that I couldn't carry a basket of laundry up and down the stairs. It was too painful.
Wow.
I had to ask my husband to bring it up and down for me. And then carrying my children was very painful also. So I only carried them to and from the car seat and down, or to the shopping cart. That was the only time I would carry my babies, because I was in so much pain. So I did that for the first 3 babies. I was just in so much pain all the time. And I went to the chiropractors, physical therapists. I did all sorts of things, and they could not heal me. But this herbal calcium tea formula, it healed me of back pain, sciatica. Not only back pain and sciatica, but I used to have constant bleeding gums. And the dentist would always tell me, oh, you just got to floss better, brush your teeth more, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, it didn't matter. Like, my gums would start bleeding, and I hadn't eaten anything all day. I had brushed my teeth in the morning, and I hadn't eaten anything all day. It would just start bleeding for no reason. They had no answers for me. But when I started taking this herbal calcium tea formula, the bleeding gums went away, the back pain and sciatica went away. And then I was studying more about it. And my teacher, my herbalist teacher, he said that sometimes his students, when they started taking this herbal calcium tea formula, their dental fillings would pop out. because their cavities would start growing in again.
Oh, wow. Really?
And I was
Amazing.
like, oh, that's interesting. And that eventually happened to me after a few months. So after a month, my back pain sciatica went away. After a few more months, my fillings started popping out. And I was like, I know it's happening here. And so I did an experiment and I went. So usually before, whenever I went to the dentist, they'd always be like, oh, you have a cavity. We have to fill it in again. And I was always getting cavities and bleeding gums. And I was always needing dental work.
Right.
And so this time my filling popped out. I don't recommend this for everyone. Okay. But I wanted to test. I said, I wonder what will happen if I stopped going to the dentist, stopped getting my cavities filled, and I just kept on drinking this tea. And basically for 10 years, I didn't see the dentist.
Wow.
And then one day my teenagers, they were like, we want braces because their teeth were misaligned. And then in order to do that, I had to take them to the dentist. So I was like, oh, might as well go in myself too and
Just
see
to
what
get
they
checked.
Yeah. And so I went in and they said, you have no cavities. And then I told them about the herbal calcium tea formula. They're like, yeah, I can see where your teeth are remineralized, because he was a biological dentist. He was a holistic dentist. So he told me, I can see where your teeth remineralized from that formula. I can see that remineralized layer on your teeth in the x-rays. I was like, that's awesome. And
that's
so
really cool.
I just, even till now, I'll go to the dentist and that one filling that filled out, it remineralized, but it didn't fully fill in. So I did end up getting a filling for my teeth, and that's so that things wouldn't get stuck in there. Cavities weren't an issue, but things can get stuck still sometimes, and you have to clean it really good still. So I did it to avoid that. And I recommend it, because I don't recommend not getting fillings, because sometimes it can be very hard to clean that cavity section very well, and it might not work out for you. But yeah, so this herbal calcium tea format's helped me. And a lot of my students also, they'll tell me that they had back pain. One person said that they used to need help getting up from bed and they couldn't pick something up off the floor without pain. And they're like, after the formula, I can do it now. So it's just amazing.
Yeah, that's great. Is that formula something that you found yourself, or is it something you made, or how did you come up with that?
So I learned it in my studies, and
Did you? Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So I have the original formula. I don't know if anyone has it published online
as a product,
because the original formula was made with comfrey root, and from what I understand, the ones that are sold on the market, they use comfrey leaves instead of comfrey root because of the FDA, and they warn against comfrey root. And that's because there was an experiment done a while back where they injected rats with high concentrations of comfrey root extract, and they got liver problems. And a human would not take that much comparatively by ratio, depending on our size and what they were injecting them. Like, you can drink too much water and die, right?
Yeah, isn't that amazing? Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't understand that. Like, literally, water seems to be so benign, and it's so helpful and so wonderful, and I advocate it very highly. But you need to get enough of it, because most people are dehydrated. But it's so safe that you can literally kill yourself by drinking too much. Wow! It's so you have to have moderation in all things. That's interesting.
Yes, it's the same thing with almost anything. When you eat too much spinach, you'll have an oxalate overload, and you could kidneys.
I had oxalated gout because of I was eating too many almonds and spinach, and I thought I was doing great. I'm like thinking I'm eating all healthy and being like Popeye, and then guess and my toe popped out like Popeye. I was like, what the heck is going on? It's like, how do I get gout when I'm eating so well? But yeah, that's the high oxalates are dangerous too. This is fun. This is the good discussion. So that herbal drink and tea that you make is just something you make yourself. Is that accurate? Or you teach people how to do it?
I do make it myself. And I don't know that the formula is published anywhere publicly. Okay. And so I do, because it's controversial because of that one ingredient. But I've been drinking it. Let me tell you, I've been drinking it since 2003, 2006, at least 2012 or something, maybe sooner. I've been drinking it for a long time. Not only that, but I give it to my children. Like, I give it to my toddlers when they were young.
So I'm sure my listeners want to know how to do that. How are they going to get this formula from you?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's two ways that you can get it from me. One is you go to aruka.com/calcium or aruka.com/cavities. Both will lead to the formula. So those are the two. I have a video and you fill out the form and it'll take you to a resource document that has the formula and resources of where to buy each one. And the cheapest way is to buy each ingredient in bulk and then mix it together. And it's the only way that I know of to get the original formula, although I don't know, that could change. Maybe someone will come out with the original formula with the root, but they're going to, if they do, they probably have to put FDA warnings saying, do not take this internally, only use it topically. And
interesting.
I can't tell anyone to take it internally, but I can tell you, me and my children and a lot of my students take it internally almost daily, not quite.
We're not advocating for anything, by the way. FDA, we're not advocating whether you take the calcium tea or whether you drink or water. We're not advocating anything. We're just trying to help people. So always refer to your practitioner for advice.
But they probably won't know anything about it.
That we have to do.
Yeah,
right?
I know. I always have to say that.
But I love it. This is fun. This is great discussion. So you help cure yourself of your migraines just by learning your deficiency in B12. And then you, instead of taking a supplement, you're able to do it just with natural foods and
just basically adding more animal products.
Yeah. So that's really neat. And then you helped your sciatica with that's interesting. I wonder what the connection was between your back pain and sciatica with that calcium. I wonder what it was doing, or do you have any idea of why that cured your back pain, the calcium tea?
I think there's something genetically with me and one of my sons where we are very calcium deficient. And I believe also that most people are calcium deficient. And it's not that we don't take in that much calcium. As a society, I always did lots of dairy. It's that we don't assimilate it. And so the herbal calcium tea just helps us assimilate the calcium that we're already taking in. And part of the assimilation problem is if you're taking it from cow milk, that's not very natural to the human body. Goat milk is preferable because the molecules are closer to human breast milk, goat milk is, than cow milk. But I think for me specifically, there's something in my genes, something in my DNA. All I know is that it works. And for a lot of people that have pain, my students, it has worked for them as well. And it is safe.
So is there anything else you recommend for people with pain? Obviously, the tea sounds like a great solution, but how else do you help people with pain outside of that?
Yeah, personally, when I help people, I really just assess everything that they're doing in terms of their diet, lifestyle, medications, mindset, environment, things like that. And I just try to pinpoint everything in their life that could be contributing to their pain or illness. And I help them detox from that. For each and every individual person, it's going to be unique and different to their pain and their life. But I think another amazing tool that I've come across it touches on what you said earlier, which is that you thought you were eating healthy and you were eating lots of oxalates and you had to stop that. And that causes a lot of pain. Oxalates cause a lot of pain to a lot of people and they don't realize it because the source of oxalates is usually, like you said, spinach, almonds, all these things that people typically see as very healthy. And the problem is that it might be healthy in small quantities.
Moderation, right? Yeah.
Yes. And I think the key here is also understanding how our ancestors ate. And our ancestors, again, they're not vegetarian. And there's a doctor by the name of Dr. Weston A. Price. And there's Albert Schweitzer. He was a missionary and a doctor. And he found these same things too, which is that they went around and they studied different people groups. And Dr. Weston A. Price, he went all around the world. And he looked at their lifestyle, and their diet, and their health. In terms of their health, they had no chronic diseases like we have in the West. They had no heart disease, diabetes, cancer, high blood pressure, skin cancer, etc. They had none of that.
All the things that we do.
All the things that are our top killers, actually. And he saw what they ate and what their lifestyle was like. They were primarily in outdoors, and they didn't sit in front of a computer all day long. They hunted, they walked around, they grounded in nature, and they hunted, and their diet was primarily meat, head to toe. They ate the whole animal, head to toe, organs, broth, etc. And they ate vegetables that they could forage, but it was more of a side dish, not the main dish. And they had only a very little bit of sweets when they could find honey or fruit as they were hunting. And they had excellent health. They didn't have high cholesterol or high blood pressure problems or anything like that. He also found that they had excellent dental health, even though they didn't brush their teeth.
Wow. Yeah.
And also that when they started adopting Western practices and the Western diet, processed foods, lots of grains, that they started developing the same diseases that we do here in the West.
That's actually amazing, isn't it? Just to see the difference. Have you, I'm sure just with your research and stuff, you heard of Casey and Callie Means?
A little bit, but not too much. Can you go ahead?
Just recently, she and her brother, Casey Means, is the woman, and her brother, they just wrote a book called Good Energy that is really neat because it doesn't talk about any specific diet is the right thing. It's just the nutrients are what's really important in getting your metabolic energy correct. And so it's a really awesome book because in the respect that it talks about the things that you're talking about, right? That we need to go back to the way God made us, and that our ultra processed foods are killing us as a society. And then the air we're breathing and the water we're drinking it's all tainted in some way or another. So we need to really look at the basics of what we're eating and get the right things that your body needs, or AKA good energy. So that I think it's just a really neat thing that the only reason I like her is that she's been able to get on really huge platforms recently. So she was on Joe Rogan's show, she was on Tucker Carlson, and it's just beautiful to see the exposure of these concepts that you and I are talking about to millions of people. So it's like, amen. Finally, the people are starting to understand how important this is, because you've dedicated your life to helping people with this information. And I think it's awesome. Just a lot of people don't understand it. I'm so excited to meet you and have people just understand it. I want to have a personal question. I just literally got diagnosed with malignant melanoma just last week. What do you recommend for people with melanoma?
That's so funny because I was actually writing about that right before. Yeah, I was writing about it right before interview for someone else. Yeah, so I do have a resource that I've compiled, and I would love to share that with you and others. Yeah. If I would say email me at mayim@aruka.com, and I could send you that link. I'm not done with it, but it's got a lot already. I can release it now, even though I'm not done, and ittle be a work in progress.
Yeah, that would be fun, because I'm literally going to create my own social media episode or journey. I'm gonna use my diagnosis as a way to say, hey, I want to do this naturally and faithfully. And I just got diagnosed with it. So I have all these questions and fears and knowledge of things that I don't know. And I know that there's probably everybody who gets diagnosed is probably very similar to me, and that they're going to want to go through and ask the same questions. And maybe I'm not asking the right questions. So I want people to tell me, right, what are the things that I should be asking, right? And hey, if I don't want to go, maybe I do want to go down the chemo route. Why should I not go down the chemo route? I want people to argue and tell me, and I want to see what the world says about my journey. And then obviously I'm just going to document my entire journey and let the world know. And if I can help one person that goes through it and helps their journey be a little bit easier, then it's all worth it. So yeah, anyway, I appreciate that resource. I will use that.
Yeah, absolutely. I will maybe give just three. I'll just say three statements, because I do have to go soon. Topical vitamin C can be very effective, and I would say I'm not telling anyone to do any of these things. I'm saying research it. And
we'll research these three things. What are we going to research?
Yeah,
vitamin C.
topical. My document can start in that process. Also, niacinamide. Okay. And
what is that?
niacinamide. It's vitamin B3 basically, but it's a no flush version of it, because regular niacin can have a side effect of flushing, which isn't harmful, but it's very unpleasant.
Okay.
And also, I would say don't use black salve, which is a lot of people, it's popular, but very controversial.
Yeah, that is like a popular underculture, whatever you want to call that, remedy. Oh, you got to go get black salve.
I don't like
not to do that.
I don't like it because of it destroys healthy cells. So I don't like that. Right. I don't like that part of it.
Yeah, makes sense.
Makes sense. But I do have an alternative that I would prefer, which is one of my herbalist teachers' black ointment formula. So Master Herbalist John R. Christopher's black ointment formula. And you can make it yourself. That's the cheapest way, but you can just buy his formula for now to get you started and try it off. But again, like I said before, it's got to be more than a few supplements. It's got to be like a whole life mindset detox. So
makes sense.
I would
I'm excited to go. I'm not excited to go down this journey, but it's going to be interesting to document it and let people know. Thank you for those 3 recommendations. I'll research all of those, and if you don't mind, I'll ask your permission if I can utilize that content on my discussions when I'm talking about it on my lives and stuff that I'm doing, because I just want to educate people. So the more we can help people, the better.
Yeah, absolutely. Just email me, mayim@aruka.com, and I'll give
Sounds
you
good. How do people get a hold of you? I know we're short on time with you, so how do people get a hold of you?
Yes, aruka.com is probably the best way, arukh.com. And I also have, and if you would like coaching, there's a button to get coaching. And then I also have my personal website, mayimvega.com, and there's a contact form there also if you want to ask any questions. I have a free 8 Secrets to Becoming a Holistic Healer series on aruka.com. So that's probably the best way. Okay. I'm also on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn. You can just search Mayim Vega.
Awesome. We'll make sure that we have the links to those resources in the show notes. But man, what a pleasure to take time to learn from you. I love what you're doing. Congratulations on your healing journey and all the things that you are doing. I wish you a huge amount of success and appreciate you taking so much time to be on the show.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. It was fun to be here with you today.
Good. I appreciate it. We look forward to having further conversations with you.
Okay, sounds good.
Right.
Okay.
God bless.
God bless.
As many of you know, my focus at the I Am Pain-Free podcast is help as many people get pain-free as possible. And we strive to use all natural and alternative therapies to accomplish that goal. Well, today I'm thrilled to introduce to you a revolutionary product that aligns perfectly with our mission of natural health and well-being. It's called Exodus by Exodus Strong. At Exodus Strong, their mission is to help you break free from the grip of big pharma and embrace natural solutions that promote vibrant health. With a foundation rooted in the wisdom of the Bible, the all-natural supplement harnesses the power of 7 key ingredients specifically mentioned in the scriptures. The flagship product, Exodus, is designed to be transformational, providing benefits such as energy enhancement, stress relief, blood sugar stabilization, pain relief, and anti-inflammation. So join the movement, right, to help them get 1 million new people to read the Bible every day and transform their health naturally. When you purchase Exodus, use code IAPF at checkout to receive a special free gift with your order. It's time to exit the old you and step into a new chapter of vitality and well-being. To get there, you go to exodusstrong.com. So it's Exodus, EXODUS-STRONG.com. And check out and use that IAPF for the I Am Pain-Free podcast. And then you'll experience the benefits of the Exodus mineral blend. This mineral blend is amazing. It's got the molecular hydrogen generating formula that's backed by hundreds of scientific studies. So begin your journey feeling great and looking great. Don't miss the opportunity to take control of your health with the all-natural way. So go check it out. I think you'll really enjoy it.